Passive creatures in Subnautica are often overlooked and ignored, left in the shadows of the Leviathans. Sub-Zero here. Today we will be ranking all passive creatures in Subnautica. We have ranking using the following criteria: atmosphere, lore relevance, usefulness, and frequency of encounters. There are no Leviathans in this video today, as I have already ranked them all. Check out my older videos if you haven't already. With that all said and done, let's dive into the rankings. Many creatures reside in the safe shallows, so let's start here. The Bladderfish. First up is the Bladderfish. This creature has a very unique body. They are thin and pink with translucent bladders on their top and bottom, hence their name. Their head is bright orange and they have a set of large eyes. The Bladderfish get 7 out of 10 for atmosphere. They are in many biomes and manage to fit in well. Lore relevance gets 0 out of 10. Lore wise, these guys don't contribute. However, when it comes to usefulness, they get a clear 10 out of 10. Having a fish that can be turned into water and food is incredibly useful. Eating them raw also gives you an oxygen boost. Lastly, frequency gets a 6 out of 10. They are found everywhere in the beginning and are found very often in other biomes. In conclusion, the Bladderfish gets a 23 out of 40, putting them into the pretty chill creature tier. Next up is the Boomerang. The Boomerang has a bright yellow-greenish centre and dark green stripes along the sides of its body. It's horizontally symmetrical, just like a real-life boomerang. The Boomerang gets an 8 out of 10 for atmosphere. They are in many biomes and are unique. Lore relevance gets a 0 out of 10, as they don't contribute. Usefulness gets a 5 out of 10. They are a great source of food, not to mention how frequent they are, giving them a 9 out of 10 for being found across 16 biomes. In conclusion, the Boomerang scores 23 out of 40, putting them alongside the Bladderfish in the pretty chill creature tier. Now let's talk about the Garryfish. The Garryfish has a long, slim, yellow body. It has a small mouth and 2 stalked eyes on top of its head. The Garryfish gets a 5 out of 10 for atmosphere. Don't get me wrong, I love these fish, but they are pretty goofy looking. Lore relevance gets a 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets a 5 out of 10, as they provide a source of nutrition. Lastly, frequency gets a 4 out of 10, as they are found in only 6 biomes. In conclusion, the Garryfish get a 16 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. I hope I haven't annoyed too many of you with that ranking. Next up is the Holefish. This guy's head is shaped like an arrow, and its body consists of a blue and purple colour, with yellow stripes and a hole in its tail, hence its name. There is very little to say about the Holefish. Atmosphere gets a 4 out of 10 in my opinion. They are a cool fish for sure, but I don't remember seeing them in my playthroughs. They don't seem to add that much atmosphere, clearly, for me at least. Lore relevance gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets a 5 out of 10, as they are a source of food. Lastly, frequency gets a 4 out of 10. In conclusion, the Holefish gets 12 out of 40. This just very barely puts them into the slightly forgettable tier. Now let's talk about the one, the only, the icon of the franchise, the Peeper. The Peeper is fast and has 2 large yellow eyes, hence its name. The Peeper gets a 10 out of 10 for atmosphere. They are the mascots of the game. They look so cool gliding through the water, and they make chirping sounds. They have very unique personalities and even jump out of the water at times. Lore relevance gets a 10 out of 10. The Peepers were the reason behind Planet 4546b's survival. Click on the attached video if you want to find out why. Usefulness gets a 9 out of 10, as they provide a useful food source, and ones that carry enzyme 42 have the ability to cure any infected creatures in your alien containment. Lastly, frequency gets an 8 out of 10. They are found in many biomes. In conclusion, the Peeper is an absolute icon, putting them in the best friends tier with a whopping score of 37 out of 40. Next up is the Rabbit Ray. These guys have a flat body and 2 wings, with a blue outline. They get an 8 out of 10 for atmosphere when you are in the safe shallows. They are definitely noticeable and add great depth to the biome. They fit right in and look aesthetically pleasing. Lore gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets a 2 out of 10, as you can put them in the bioreactor if you raise their eggs. Lastly, frequency gets a 4 out of 10. They aren't in many biomes, just the beginning ones. In conclusion, the rabbit race scores 14 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next up is the shoals of fish you find. Certain species tend to form a big group. They will flee from you and you cannot interact with them. They are there for aesthetics only. Atmosphere gets a 10 out of 10. Their whole job is to add atmosphere. Lore gets 0, usefulness gets 0, and frequency gets a 7 out of 10, as they are found in many different biomes. In conclusion, the shoals of fish gets a 17 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next up is the sky ray. The sky ray is a bird that can be found flying over the water in areas with large land masses, like the Aurora or the islands. They are a mixture between Earth's seagulls and pigeons with adapted wings. Atmosphere gets a 10 out of 10. It's their purpose, and they make the game feel more lively. Lore gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets a 0 out of 10, and frequency gets a 1 out of 10, as you only see them on land and you spend most of your time in the ocean. In conclusion, the sky rays get an 11 out of 40, just barely putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next up is the Shuttlebug. The Shuttlebug has 3 long flippers and 3 legs in the front surrounding its large eye. Atmosphere gets a 4 out of 10. They definitely add some liveliness to caves and biomes, but they aren't anything special. Lore gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets 0 out of 10. And frequency gets a 9 out of 10, as they are found in 17 different biomes. In conclusion, the Shuttlebug scores a 13 out of 40, putting it in the slightly forgettable tier. Let's cover the Amoeboid now. This is an immobile species that lives only in the Lost River. They are found in groups most of the time. Atmosphere gets an 8 out of 10. They are there to add liveliness and do a good job at it. Lore gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets 0, and frequency gets a 1 out of 10, as they are only found in the Lost River. In conclusion, the Amoeboid scores 9 out of 40, putting them in the incredibly forgettable tier. Now we move on to the ancient floater. These are very old floaters that attach themselves to the floating island and underwater islands, being the reason behind the structures managing to float. Atmosphere gets a 10 out of 10. They add a ton of atmosphere and are a huge point of interest when you first see them. Lore gets 0 out of 10, usefulness gets 0, and frequency gets a 4 out of 10. This gives them a 14 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next is the Crimson Ray. This creature is a relative of the Ghost Ray, and it lives in the lava zone. Atmosphere gets an 8 out of 10. All the rays in this game manage to add a lot of atmosphere. They are just beautiful to look at. Lore gets 0, usefulness gets 0, and frequency gets 1. In conclusion, the Crimson Ray scores 9 out of 40, putting them in the incredibly forgettable tier. I'd like to quickly note that a creature being in the forgettable tier doesn't make them bad. It just means that when I think of Subnautica, they are not the first things that come to mind. They are still beautiful creatures, and remember, it's all my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. With that said, let's move on to the Eyeye. This creature is edible and doesn't reduce hydration when consumed, making it a great source of food. As the name suggests, this creature is mainly made up of one huge eye. Atmosphere gets a 4 out of 10. These creatures don't really fit their biomes in my opinion. Lore gets 0, usefulness gets an 8 out of 10. They are a great source of food and biofuel. Lastly, frequency gets a 7 out of 10, as they are found in many biomes. In conclusion, the Eyeye scores 19 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next up is the Ghost Ray. This iconic creature is very large and looks similar to the manta rays we have on Earth. It is completely translucent, making it possible to see its organs inside. Atmosphere gets a 10 out of 10. These creatures fit their biome very well, especially in the tree cove. Lore gets 0, usefulness gets 0, and frequency gets a 2. This gives the ghost ray a 12 out of 40. Unfortunately, it puts it into the slightly forgettable tier, being held back by its low frequency and usefulness. Next up is the Hoopfish. This creature has a slim build with a dark violet coloured body that transitions to green towards the head. It's a decent source of food and biofuel. Atmosphere gets a 6 out of 10. They fit their biomes well, but aren't anything special. Lore gets 0. Usefulness gets an 8. And lastly, frequency gets a 7 out of 10. In conclusion, the Hoopfish gets 21 out of 40, surprisingly putting it into the chill creature category. Who would have thought of that? We now move on to the Hoverfish. This little dude is found in the kelp forest and crash zone mazes. It has a teardrop shaped body with 6 legs. As its name implies, the Hoverfish hovers in the water and swims slowly. It shows plenty of emotion and may sometimes play about with other fish. Atmosphere gets a 9 out of 10. It's a unique creature and fits its biomes well. Lore gets 0. Usefulness gets 8 out of 10, as you can eat it and use it as biofuel. Lastly, frequency gets a 3 out of 10, not being found too often. In conclusion, the Hoverfish gets 20 out of 40, just about putting it in the pretty chill creature tier. Next up is the very cool Jelly Ray. This creature has a translucent, glowing body. Atmosphere is a clear 10 out of 10. It fits its biomes perfectly and is a beautiful creature to look at. Lore is 0, usefulness is a 7 out of 10, as you can use them as biofuel. Lastly, frequency is a 3 out of 10. In conclusion, the Jelly Ray gets 20 out of 40, also putting it into the pretty chill creature tier. Let's talk about the Magmarang now. This creature is essentially identical to the Boomerang in all ways apart from its colour. Atmosphere is a 10 out of 10. It fits very well in the lava zone. Lore is a 0. Usefulness is a 9, since down in the lava zone, a fish like this can help out more than you would think. Lastly, frequency is a 2 out of 10 due to it only being in the lava zone. In conclusion, the Magmarang scores a 21 out of 40, putting it into the pretty chill creature tier. Now we divert our attention to the Oculus. This creature is a distant relative of the Peeper and looks very similar, with the main differences being its size, colour and lack of beak. They are only found in the jelly shroom forests. Atmosphere gets a 10 out of 10. They fit their biome perfectly, make clicking sounds and even run from light. Lore gets 0 out of 10. Usefulness gets an 8 out of 10. They are both a good food source and an excellent biofuel source. Lastly, frequency gets a 1 out of 10. In conclusion, the Oculus scores 19 out of 40, putting them in the slightly forgettable tier. Next up is the red Eyeye. Just like the Magmarang, this is the lava zone version of the normal Eyeye. Atmosphere gets an 8, as they are more suited to this biome. Lore gets a 0, usefulness gets a 9, as it is both a good source of fuel and biofuel. Lastly, frequency gets a 2 out of 10. In conclusion, the red Eyeye scores 19 out of 40, putting them in the pretty forgettable tier. Next up is the Reginald. This creature is found in 18 different biomes, which is crazy. This fish is a relative of the Peeper, just like the Oculus. Atmosphere gets a 6 out of 10. They are everywhere and look pretty strange, but manage to fit the Subnautica vibe slightly. Lore gets 0. Usefulness gets an 8 out of 10 for food and fuel. Lastly, frequency gets a 10 out of 10. They are nearly everywhere. In conclusion, the Reginald scores 24 out of 40, somehow putting it in the pretty chill creature tier. The next creature I'm covering may not be known by all of you. The Rockgrub. This creature is tiny, with a translucent green glowing body. It's hard to say much about this creature apart from the fact that it's the smallest in the game. Atmosphere gets a 4 out of 10. Its glowing body and the fact that there are small creatures in this game make playing much more immersive, however you barely see this guy. Lore gets a 0, usefulness gets a 0, and frequency gets a 1. In conclusion, the Rockgrub scores 5 out of 40, putting it in the incredibly forgetful tier. Next up is the Spadefish. This creature has a flat, irregular body, with one eye on top of its head. This is to allow it to see any predators from above. Atmosphere gets a 5 out of 10. It's just a pretty average creature. Lore gets 0. Usefulness gets an 8 out of 10 for food and biofuel. Lastly, frequency gets a 6 out of 10. In conclusion, the Reginald scores 19 out of 40, putting it in the pretty forgettable creature tier. Next up is the Spinefish. This is basically the Lost River version of the Hoopfish. Atmosphere gets an 8 out of 10. Its ghostly look fits its biome very well. Lore gets 0, usefulness gets an 8 out of 10, and lastly, frequency gets a 3 out of 10. In conclusion, the Spinefish gets a 19 out of 40, putting it in the pretty forgettable creature tier. The last creature we are covering today is the one and only Cuddlefish. The Cuddlefish is a pet you can have, and is a very intelligent species. Once you find one of its eggs, you can hatch one, meaning that they are not found in the wild. Atmosphere is a 10. Having this cute guy with you in this scary ocean is a great thing. Lore gets a 10. Although it's not related to the main story, it does allow you to say goodbye once you build the escape rocket. Its origins are also a mystery, leaving lots of story to be discovered. Usefulness gets a 10. This creature stops you from going insane in this crazy world, and its eggs provide an excellent source of biofuel if you are evil enough. Lastly, frequency is a 1 out of 10. It's extinct in the wild and only found through hatching eggs. In conclusion, the Cuddlefish scores 31 out of 40, putting it in the best friends tier. Very well deserved. And with that, we have finished ranking every passive creature in Subnautica. I hope you enjoyed joining me on this adventure. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of Subnautica content, then consider subscribing to join the Sub-Zero community. Comment below what you agree and disagree with. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.